So it's really more of a video of best purchases and purchases that I can't bring myself to regret even though I never use them. Hello pen friends, journaling junkies, and stationery stands. I am late, but it is about time that I show y'all my best and worst purchases of 2024. Although, like I said, I really couldn't bring myself to regret anything that I bought last year. I couldn't bring myself to say that anything was the worst, which I'm going to take as a sign that I am getting to know myself more and how I like to journal and what I like to use to do it. So I think that's really great for me. And there's a bunch of things here that I'm so excited to talk about. So let's just get right into it. I really wanted to try a regular leather TSL notebook cover, especially after the terrible luck I had with a zip cover, and I decided on a brown one because I thought it would be really classy and professional, and it just does exactly what I needed to do. A lot of the other covers that I've gotten from TSL, even if they weren't the zip cover, which I thought was just a little too small to actually comfortably accommodate the size it was supposed to accommodate. Aside from the sizing issue, aside from the issue of the zipper on the back cover that would create a big bump and get in your way when you're writing, I've had other issues with TSL covers staining my books from the paint on them. But this only adds to the pleasure of using my work planner. It's super soft. It's incredibly beautiful. It doesn't get in the way at all. It just makes my work planner enticing enough to make me want to write in it, and it makes me feel really professional when I'm making notes in it. And that's about all it does, but that is all I needed. So this really hit the mark when it came to my specific purpose that I wanted to use it for. There's not too much that I could say here. I just love pilot nibs, and I really wanted a fine nib that wasn't from my fancy Vanishing point, because that was the only pilot fine nib that I had before getting this pilot Metropolitan. And I definitely could have gotten like a Kaweco in a fine for even cheaper than this Metropolitan, but I'm not really in the habit of buying the same exact pen in different sizes. Unless they're Kaweco Sports, of course, or Lamy Safaris, just because the colors they come in are so fun and collectible. But other than that, I like to expand my collection into things that I don't have already. And I'm really happy to have added this kind of legendary starter pen to my collection. I think it looks a lot more premium than the price reflects, and it feels nice in the hand. And again, I'm just such a huge fan of pilot nibs. I was a little nervous because I feel like this is kind of a polarizing pen. Like, some people really love it and some people really don't for whatever reason, but this is a lovely pen to me and I'm very happy to have it. I really just think this advent calendar is just way beyond worth it. You get 15 milliliter bottles of ink, 24 of them, plus one that is, I think it's 30? Yes, 15 milliliter bottles plus one 30 milliliter bottle for $120. That's $4.80 per bottle of ink, which is kind of astounding when you consider that a lot of samples, which are anywhere between 2 milliliters and 5 milliliters, are sometimes similarly priced, but sometimes more expensive for less ink. And obviously with those, you're getting to choose exactly what color you want instead of it being completely random to you like in this advent calendar. But if you like exploring new ink, then I think that mystery is a huge part of the fun with this product. I've never had so much new ink all at once to swatch, and I had so much fun doing it. And even though I didn't like every color, there were a lot that I did like, and colors that I think I can use outside of the winter season that I kind of think didn't really fit the winter season at all. But I mean, the fact that they come out with so many new colors that are specifically supposed to be winter themed, and they do this every year, is just pretty insane to me. So I do commend them for that, and I'm happy that I got this year. And to me, it's comforting that if I ever get tired of these inks, and I decide that I really don't care for them, don't want to use them, I'm pretty sure they'd be easy to sell on Mercari by putting them in a bunch of sample vials and advertising the full 2024 advent calendar ink sample pack. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, as a stationery lover, this was just such a great way to make every day in December leading up to Christmas feel like Christmas. And it felt like literally such a treat and an indulgence every single day leading up to Christmas for $120. To me, that's worth it. I'll be honest, with these, I just really had to have them because I thought that the packaging and the concept is so cute. Like a little matchbox of Eric's Small Things stamps. A matchbox literally is a small thing, so I just think it's so fitting and cute, and I bought one even though I thought I wasn't going to be able to get much use out of it because I didn't think there were many situations in which I would want to stamp any of these designs in my journals, but thankfully I was wrong. I actually do get a lot of use out of these because I think they're perfect to stamp on gifts or Happy Meal. I always wrap things in craft paper because I think it looks elegant and it's easy to zhuzh it up with some wonderful stamps like these. So after I realized that I can use these way more than I initially thought I could, I went ahead and bought a second set. Although I don't get as much use out of this one, I think this one is easier to use. But they're both precious and adorable and bring me a lot of happiness, and I'm so glad that I have them. I just think this is such an attractive little pen. It's very simple and minimal, but it stands out because of its unique shape and beautiful colors, especially the rose gold clip, of course. And it kind of reminds me of those jumbo crayons and how fun they always were to hold. It takes a lot of different pen refills, so you can take advantage of the beautiful body on this pen and not have to deal with the Uni-Ball One refill in case you experience frequent skipping with it like I do. And this one is actually empty because I use it so often. I think I had, well, I could have checked, but then I closed it too fast. Let me see what I have in here. It's also pretty low. And this says Uni. So maybe I got over my Uni-Ball One hate, but also this could be a Uni Jetstream refill. I'm really not sure. Regardless, I would highly recommend these pens. I absolutely love these tiny little scissors. I think they take up even less space than the pen-shaped scissors. They're amazingly easy and comfortable to use despite how tiny they are, and they are super sturdy. I lost them extremely quickly after receiving them, like probably less than a month after, and I ordered a new pair very shortly after because I just think there's so much value in these. I've also talked about how much I love the Raymay Pen Cut Premium scissors, and I still really like those, and I would still recommend them, especially to folks who think that they wouldn't be able to handle such small scissors. But I think you'd be surprised by how comfortable they are to hold despite their size. And these are just beyond my favorite. So beautiful. So I didn't purchase these out of my love for stationery. I purchased these out of my love for Baggu. But these ended up being such perfect stationery pouches for me because this one is the perfect length to hold Tombow Dual Brush Pens. It is quite a snug fit, but it fits. And I used this one to replace a box that I had been carrying around that came with a Galen leather order, and it has a bunch of like sticker sheets in there and some decorative paper. And I also hold a regular size traveler's notebook in there because it's just such a great fit and it's super protective for it. So I really love these pouches from Baggu for stationery purposes. Speaking of Tombow Dual Brush Pens, I found a bundle on Mercari of 25 of them for $20, and I had to jump on that right away. The seller actually had 3 bundles, I think, of Tombow Dual Brush Pens, but I just picked the bundle that I liked the colors from the most. And I've bought 2 individual ones and 1 pack of 6. So what I have in here, I think I have a couple of them that aren't in here just because they don't fit. But yeah, I don't think these are all from the bundle. I think these are some that I bought separately. But yeah, I'm specifically talking about like one of my best purchases being that bundle because I want to explore as many Tombow Dual Brush Pen colors as I can, but obviously at $3 a pop, it gets pretty expensive. And I just felt so lucky to find a bundle with colors that I genuinely love. Do I have 2 of the same? That's so cool. I think one of them I got from the bundle, and then another one came in a set that I bought myself. The Nordic colors, I think. But yeah, obviously Tombow Dual Brush Pens are so expensive. I want to be really intentional about the ones that I choose for my collection when I'm buying them individually. But getting 25 for $20, I mean, it's just such a great way to compare the colors and figure out what I really like before I have to spend big bucks on them. And I'm so happy that I came across this. You know, I really am surprised by how infrequently I use these little stamps, but I could never ever regret buying them or feel anything other than extreme happiness that they're in my collection. I have these in a different little tin with a couple of other stamps, and this is where I keep my other ones along with some alphabet stamps. But I had been admiring Littlelu stamps for so long, and to finally have some of Littlelu's designs in my collection makes me so happy. I just think her illustration style is so cute, and I love how well she captures everyday moments or feelings in a tiny little stamp. I probably use these 2 the most because, you know, life under capitalism, it's exhausting. But I also really like this one to like present something like a photo. And this is actually probably the one that I use the most. I am extremely consistent with morning pages, as you might know if you've been here for a while. And it's just really nice to have a little space where I can put the date and whatever pen that I'm using and the ink that I'm using, just to have a record of what it looks like to write a whole page with that combination. Plus, before I write my morning pages, I like to write a little gratitude. And this creates like a perfect little space right on top of the paper to do my gratitude. And then under that is where I start my morning pages. So this one is really functional for me. The other ones I don't get as much use out of, but I'm still overjoyed to have them. The next item is actually one that I have in here, and it is just so perfect to me. It was exactly what I needed to add to my stamping tools to make bringing around clear stamps worth it. I originally thought that these stamps or this stamping ink were as small as you could get, and I really enjoy these, but amazingly, MU managed to save even more space, not only because the ink pad itself is so much smaller, but of course also because the ink pads clip closed to one another. So you're really maximizing space there. The only thing I would say is that sometimes, especially if you have like a really big stamp, it can feel hard to feel like you have even distribution of the ink. By the time you get to like the last part of the stamp that you're filling up, you're worried that the part that you put the ink pad on first is like already kind of dry. And I feel like I have gotten kind of a splotchy looking imprint as a result. But it's really not a big deal, and I think there are so many more cons than pros to these, and they come in more colors, but I just got this kind of neutral palette, and yeah, it's perfect. And since we're already in this little drawer pouch, it wasn't originally in my best purchases, but I feel like I just have to add it because I'm like obsessed with mermaids, right? Or like I had a childhood obsession with mermaids for a really long time, to the point that like my adult self still feels a lot of fondness for them, even though I'm not really like actively obsessed with mermaids anymore. Especially because of a lot of the mermaid stuff that I find is like pale blues and purples and pinks that kind of remind me more of unicorns and feel kind of childish to me. And like I get it, like mermaids are magical. I think like that's what the colors are supposed to be, you know, like shiny glittery scales, whatever. But the color palettes that I've often seen used with mermaid things just don't really call to me. But this is absolutely beautiful. You can like hardly tell that it's supposed to be mermaid scales. Like I may not have seen it if it wasn't titled that, but just the fact that like that's the inspiration, but I get more of like these deeper, mature colors, it makes me appreciate this pouch so much more. And I had a small drawer pouch before this one, and it had cactuses on it, and I don't know why I didn't reach for it as much. I'm not sure if it's that I wanted to use the print so badly, and that's why I managed to find. I think it kind of happened at the same time when I bought this and when I decided that there were actually a lot of things that I could carry around that I could use to decorate my journals very thoroughly and still maintain them in a small space. So this just came to me in the perfect time in my journaling journey. And it feels better in the hand than the cactus one as well. Like, the material is different and it just feels sturdier and cozier and more me, and I love it. I love it. Had to have a different setup for this one, but I am very happy that I bought this TSL bucket or something like that. It wasn't available from an American retailer of the superior labor. I had never come across it until I was on Mercari one day, and it was listed by someone in Japan, and I thought it would be the perfect solution to my ephemera problem, and I got like halfway there. Before this bag, I had various piles of ephemera in all different places, and I remember how happy I was to clear all those big piles I had and have everything fit in here. I started getting worried like halfway through that everything wouldn't fit, but this bag has like this magic ability to expand. It looks full right now, but I can press down from the sides and still make like a lot of room. I don't want to push it because ideally I would use the ephemera before my pile or my bucket ever gets to be this big or this stuffed, but life isn't perfect, so here we are with a big stuffed bag and still with other piles in other places because I didn't want to mix up my more recent ephemera with all of this old stuff. But the piles that are not in this bag are way smaller than the piles that I had before this bag. So this one is kind of a two-in-one. First, we're going to talk about the actual PET tape inside. I made a big order of PET tapes from Emma's Stationery Haul after discovering that shop through YouTube because I saw that she offered samples. And honestly, with how much I heard about PET tape all over journaling YouTube, I was surprised by how seldomly I would come across it as I was browsing my go-to stationery shops. And even when I did come across it, they were full rolls that I couldn't imagine using all up because there were so many repeat patterns. Plus it was expensive, so I couldn't ever justify the purchase. But by getting samples, I got so much bang for my buck. I got so many different designs within one single sample that was like, I don't know, somewhere between $2 and $4, I think. And I just think they're so much more versatile than stickers, and usually like more detailed than stickers. They give more of a vibe, so I think this is just a great pen all around for anyone who loves fountain pens but wants more convenience to using one, full stop. I don't think this is only great for people who are on a budget. I think it's a great option for anyone who would be interested in a retractable fountain pen. It has some great weight to it. It feels really nice in the hand. I think it looks quite elegant. It's been wholly reliable, and I don't think that the nib is bad at all. Of course, it doesn't feel as nice as the Pilot Vanishing Point nibs, but not everyone is willing to drop over $100 on a Pilot Vanishing Point, especially when they can get almost the exact same thing for $10. I am, however, the type who is willing to spend a few hundred on a limited edition Pilot pen, but I am also the type who is terrified to use it and drop it or otherwise damage it. So this has been especially wonderful for me because I am able to get the buttery smoothness of a Pilot nib inside this alternative body that I'm not scared to damage because, again, it was $10. I received a gift card from a friend of this brand, and I sat on it for a while because I wasn't sure what the perfect purchase would be from them. But last year, I kept thinking that I needed to have a small, low pressure, very accessible notebook to easily capture details about my days better. So that's when I decided that I should get some A6 books from Dingbats, and it was one of the best things I ever did. And that's because it led me to figuring out my favorite way of logging my days. But also, the actual notebooks themselves are pretty quality too, though I wouldn't recommend the reporter style one because, as you can see, it came apart pretty badly for me. And yes, I put it through daily use, but it wasn't abused at all. And I hadn't used up very much of it by the time I decided that it was too torn up for me to continue using it. So I wouldn't really recommend this one, but the regular A6 one is really, really high quality. I never worried about it the whole time that I was using it, and I would just really, really recommend it, especially if you don't need a lot of space, because this does have less space than this. Plus it has perforated pages, which I really like. But mostly I love these because of the way that they led me to discover my favorite way to journal. This pen right here absolutely answered my prayers. In 2023, I had fallen in love with the combo of a 0.7 Jetstream pen and a Hobonichi Weeks, but for my 2025 weeks, I wanted something that was bolder, but without being too thick to comfortably write in the tiny Weeks grid, and something with a lot of staying power. And this fits all of the requirements so beautifully. I got the 0.5 at first, which is just barely too thick to be comfortable in the Weeks grid, but the 0.4 is perfect for my needs. The ink was specifically formulated to be resistant to wear, so even though I never highlight in my Weeks, it's nice to know that if I ever want to, I can. Plus, I write in my Weeks so frequently and want to jot things down so quickly that it's really, really nice that with this pen, I never have to worry about smudging or smearing. So this is a very tiny little thing that costs a lot of money. So I do not say this lightly, but this was one of my best purchases from 2024. I have no regrets about all the money that I had to spend on this tiny little binder. To try to save myself the money, or at least try to save myself a mistake, I tried to use the Decona Mini 5 to test the size, and a funny thing happened. I didn't use it often, which I thought meant that the size was a bust for me, but I kept thinking that I wished I had a dedicated place for lists or content ideas or just tiny collections that I wanted to be able to come back to and find easily. And I realized that the Mini 5 was actually the perfect solution for what I wanted. I just never thought to bring it out because there was no good solution to keep a pen with it, and I really didn't like that it didn't have any closure. With this one, the closure comes separately, but it is an option that you have. Plus, it can hold your pen right here. I use it as my wallet, and it's like the size of an actual standard wallet, which I think is really rare to find for like a wallet slash notebook combo, like a passport size traveler's notebook. That's obviously way bigger than this. But yeah, I keep my cards in there, and I keep a couple of different lists. I have a couple of different sections that I forget at the moment, but it just fills a need for me, and it's not like a super duper important need, but it is something that, like, without this or something that filled that need, that kind of like easy, low pressure pocket notebook place to jot things down and easily find them later. If I didn't have that, my lineup would feel incomplete. So I'm really happy I have this. I kind of thought these project managers, I think they're called, were kind of silly at first, because like just use a divider, but I actually really like keeping my content ideas here. So definitely, without a doubt, one of the best purchases of 2024 for me. The pen is its own separate little best purchase, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little harder to get out of here than I would like, but I remain convinced that there is no better pen to use this plotter. I think it just makes full use of the space that the tiny plotter pen loop allows, and it does so while looking so beautiful. It's made of brass, so it does leave a bit of a scent on my hands when I use it, but it's worth it to me because of how beautiful it looks and how hefty it feels in the hand. And because of that, it's a lot more comfortable to write with than most other pens that would be able to fit in this loop. Like I mentioned earlier with the Dingbats journals, they really help me find my preferred way to log my days. But buying new A6 notebooks every time I filled one up would be really expensive, not to mention that I wouldn't be able to have my whole year in one book. So I was really happy that I was able to modify my system that I found in my A6 notebooks for myself that really works, and put it into a brand and product that I already love. So what I was doing in my A6 notebooks, I'm essentially doing in here. It just looks a little different. I don't want to talk about it too much because like this book isn't the point of this whole video. I'm probably gonna have like a more in-depth video on my system this year, but it just feels really good to have my everyday systems pared down into 2 books that I really love. I think the Tragen A5 is like my perfect cover for the other one, but this one I have so much fun like changing out my cover seasonally and changing out my pencil board seasonally, even though I really love the Yes No. I think it goes so beautifully with this green. And then I have this beautiful pen that I think goes so nicely with this, but also is just gorgeous on its own. But it has my preferred refill in there, the Zebra Sarasa Mark-On, of course. So yeah, I'm really happy that it's been working the way I intended to, and I'm really glad that this color has grown so much on me. I was kind of worried that I would get sick of it because this isn't normally a color I would go for, but I have really been loving it this year. I had to put these 2 together because they have made me feel comfortable really for the first time, I think, with the way that I am scrapbooking or memory keeping or junk journaling. I just love when a product works out exactly like you think it will, because that doesn't always happen, but it really did with this A5 size Tragen. And with the compact, I think it's called, vertical weekly common planner. I figured out enough about myself in the past 2 years and the way that I like to journal to think that these products would be perfect for me, and I was actually right. I've come to learn that I'm really lazy, and any way that I can simplify my journaling process is going to really benefit me. So even though I really truly honest to God adored my Uraliku 3-pen flat tool case that I had most of my journaling supplies in, it was one extra thing to carry. And when I have all of those things in here, plus I have more space to fit other things that wouldn't fit in that case, like this glue or this mini date stamp, having it in the cover of my planner just makes my life that much easier. And not only that, but it has pockets, various pockets to hold ephemera. It has, let me move this out the way. It has this one right here, and this can be used to hold ephemera, even like back here. And it's like a lot of space in each of them. And these are also spacious, and you can hold stencils in here, or what I have, the Hobonichi translucent sticky notes, or these Himakuri dateless whatevers. And obviously there's a place for my pen, although I keep a pencil in here because it's just another thing I've learned about myself. I like to map things out a little bit to see how I like it first, in a way that is erasable. And the reason this particular planner works so well for me for junk journaling, memory keeping, scrapbooking, is because the daily pages was way too much structure, and the Hobonichi Day Free was not enough structure. So scrapbooking in the weekly pages is just enough. Of course, I also could have used my weeklies like this in a Hobonichi Techo Cousin, but then I wouldn't know how to fill those dailies every single day. This common planner has way fewer pages in the back for me to use however I see fit, and it's just the right amount to where I'm never stressing about running out of pages or stressing about how I can use them all up. So both of these things are very high on my 2024 stationery purchases list. So, like I mentioned earlier, I was really having a hard time figuring out my worst purchases of last year because I made a lot less mistakes this past year than I did the year before that. I knew myself a little more and what I liked, and there was just like nothing that I felt was a huge mistake. The things that I don't really use, like I'm not even mad that I have because they were really appealing to me, and I like exploring different things, and like they were relatively like not expensive. So it's just hard to regret them. But the list was so small, I've essentially collected everything that I'm going to talk about here. So I'm going to start with this one so I can get this out of the way. I stuck it on my MacBook. I think it's called the rewritable memo pad from Wemo, and I thought it was such a cool concept because I use so many sticky notes, and anything that can replace like something that I'm throwing away constantly sounds awesome to me, and is going to be something that I'm going to want to try. And it was a bit of a letdown. I just really don't like the experience of erasing the pen. It leaves a lot of residue on the fingers, and of course, like, it's pen, so that's going to stay on your fingers. And you can also erase with an actual eraser rather than your fingers, but as you can see, it really marks up the eraser as well. So I don't know, maybe I would just need a dedicated eraser for this. I literally, I didn't even think about that until now. But as you can see, also, if things are on there too long, you can't really get them off. Maybe I need to try harder. Maybe this is something I can run underwater. I also haven't tried that. I might get this to be something that I actually get some more use out of if I'm able to get this off with some water and then use like a dedicated eraser for this. So yeah, see, like, my first worst purchase is something that I'm like, oh wait, maybe there is a way that I can actually get some use out of this. But yeah, that's number one, the Wemo rewritable memo pad. My next regretful item is this Penco pen stand. Let me move these things out of the way. It's just like so much smaller than I was expecting. This is like so freaking adorable. When I saw it, I felt that I had to have it. It's just like such a cute thing, such a cute way to store your pens on your desk, right? But it just doesn't fit very much at all. And for the price I had to pay, I mean, I know it was imported, but still, I just want to be able to hold more pens than what this allows for the price that it was. But ultimately, it still is a very cute thing on my desk, so can't regret it too much. Next, I'm going to talk about the Raymay Decona. The funny thing is, I had already watched a video from someone else who had one of these. I always try to watch videos on things before I purchase them. And she had talked about how she really didn't like it because it didn't have a closure. And I thought it wouldn't bother me, but it really does. And I guess you could use like a hair tie or something. But I don't know, that's just kind of like not cute. Like a rubber band would not be cute, and I don't know, for some reason that really is like it makes a huge difference. Plus the pen loop is so incredibly tiny, you can barely fit anything in there. I tried to fit this pen at first. I thought this was like a great looking combo, and it goes in there perfectly and it looks nice, but this pen is also on my worst purchases because the clip bent out a lot pretty quickly, and I didn't feel like I was abusing this. I mean, I don't know, maybe I was, but it just happened really quickly and I can't get it back, and it got nasty really quickly, and I didn't like the ink in here. It smears pretty easily, but this was only like $6 or something like that, maybe even less, so I wasn't too mad about it. It just didn't work. And same with this, it didn't work. And I was trying to get this to save myself money because, again, I was trying to figure out if I would really use the Plotter Mini 5 if I actually had it, and the test was if I actually used this. And I didn't actually use this, but I was still confident that I would use my Plotter Mini 5 because there were so many instances where I wanted to write something down, but I felt like I didn't have like the perfect place to do it, and then later I would realize like, oh, this is that place. I just literally don't even think to do it because it's kind of unpleasant to use this. But that, having that like thought process made me confident enough that I would use a Plotter Mini 5. Would I have been able to get there without using this? I don't know. But again, it was relatively inexpensive and I can't regret it too much. Next is this beautiful pen. Guys, okay, like this, zero regrets about this. I'm so happy to have this pen. I think I would feel so much FOMO if I didn't. This green is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. And the gold trim, like, I don't like silver. This is my perfect pen, and it's a little too perfect, and I can't use it. I'm too scared, and that's the only reason why it's in this list, is because I literally, like, I think I used it once, just when I first got it, just to see how it would feel, and then never again after that, because I'm too scared to drop it or something like that. But I would never take it back, my purchase of this. I love it too much, but I never use it. Next we have these 2 tiny little things. I love the designs on this, but I don't know why, like, I just can't figure out when or where to use them. And I have like a very similar type stamp. It's a Midori rotatable stamp, and it also has like little designs in a row, but they feel more like event specific. Like there's like a little banner that's good for using parties, or like a little airplane that's good for using travel, and it fits the week's monthly grid perfectly. So it's really easy to figure out how to use that. But with this, I'm having a lot more trouble. And again, like, I love the designs. I think they're really cute. I just don't know how to use them. And maybe I'm thinking about it too hard, because I did watch a video. It was a while ago, but it made an impression on me because it talked about how, like, you don't have to like use stickers that fit all the time, that like fit your day or the activity that you're doing. It's just about the decoration. It's just to make things pretty. Use things just to make things pretty, and that's probably how these are supposed to be used, but I just haven't figured out how I like using them, and so I don't ever use them. And this I had to get because I love a gadget. My husband calls me gadget girl. I just love cool things, and if it's like a cool stationery thing, more so. So this, I'm gonna have to get like some B-roll to demonstrate, but essentially you roll this over something that you want to hide, like a vocabulary word, say, and then it comes with like a separate little red plastic film type thing that makes the word legible again. Like when you roll this over it, you can't read it anymore, you can't see it, but then with the red over it, you can see it. So it's really good for studying. But the thing is, I don't have anything to study right now. I was thinking about becoming a court interpreter, but my career went a different direction. And now I'm thinking about being an immigration paralegal, so, which is like a very adjacent job. But yeah, again, can't really say that I regret it, but I just like do not have a use for it at all, and I feel kind of silly having it. But that is it. That is the overview of my 2024 purchases, what I love the most, what I get the most use out of, what I'm happiest about, and what I'm only slightly cool with, and what I can't bring myself to regret even though I never use it, and what was silly, all that jazz. I would love to know some of your experiences with these products, if you have any, in the comments, or some of your favorite or least favorite things that you bought in 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.